too slow. All right. So, SOHCAHTOA is what we're learning about. And what it means is it stands for these three things. And what it means is this first one is sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite over hypotenuse. And you need to know these, not necessarily memorize them, but you should know them. And cosine of some angle, this could be 20 or 30 degrees or whatever, is equal to AH adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent of some angle is equal to OA opposite over adjacent. Now, what do those mean? Well, first off, this only works if we're dealing with a right triangle. A right triangle has one angle that is 90 degrees right here. Okay, so that one is 90 degrees. And we don't ever have to deal with that one. Everybody will know that that one is 90 degrees. We don't have to deal with it. And you might have different angles, and put it this way, if this one's 90 degrees, we're only going to ever have two angles. We'll have this angle here, and we'll have this angle here. And we might call them, let's deal with this one first, and we'll call this angle A, okay? So here's angle A, and this is the angle right here, and this side, look where it's pointing. This side would be called the opposite. And this side would be called the adjacent. Now, the adjacent one people get confused on. Opposite should be pretty darn easy. Just look at this little thing, and if we just kind of see where it aims at the opposite. That makes pretty sense. Now, before I even point to the adjacent, which is right here, but before we even talk about this, look at the 90. You see the 90 here? It's pointing at this side right here. And this side is always the longest side because it's a 90-degree angle here. And we always call this the hypotenuse. So if you know that this is the opposite, and then the opposite of the 90 is the hypotenuse, then this has to be the adjacent. Okay, that's how I always remember it. So what I do is opposites of, so if you're talking about some angle, A, and the opposite is over here, the hypotenuse is here, is always the opposite of this 90, then this one has to be the adjacent of the third one. There's only three sides. So if we look at these, then we can apply them. For example, sine of A, whatever A is, I don't know if that's 20 degrees or whatever, sine of it is going to equal this number, see opposite, divided by hypotenuse, this number. So this number divided by this number. That's all that sine is saying. That's what that means. So, today, we're not going to go into really deep, okay? We're not going to go very deep. So it's going to be super simple. So knowing these rules right here on how to set up a triangle, like where the adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse is, and knowing where the 90 is, and then knowing these three things, we're going to do something super simple. We're not going to go into anything deep. It's going to be quite easy. Oops, you guys don't want to see this cool little desk thing that I have. More trig is your assignment today. Let's go here. And it says to only do number 1 through 12. So you're going to do these 6, then you're going to do these 6, and that's it. You do not need to move here. We'll do that tomorrow, okay? So we're going to do these 6 and then these 6 right here. So these 6 right here, it says find C right here. So you see C right here? Find sine of C. Sine of C, okay? And this one, sine of C, cosine of C, cosine of C, tangent of A, A happens to be right there, and tangent of X, X happens to be here. So in other words, they're telling you to ignore the angle here, here, and here, here, and here, ignore this angle, although this one is 90 degrees right here. Ignore this one, they only want to know cosine of C. So how do we do that? So to do that, what they're going to do is, let's say they'll give you a triangle here, and this one's going to be a 90-degree angle. Sorry for the sloppiness. And there'll be some numbers. Let's say that this is 20, and this is 12, and this one is 18. I'm making these up, and these are probably not correct, to make a right triangle, but I'm just making numbers up here. So then there'll be an angle here, right? We'll call this C, this little angle here. There might be another one here and here, but we'll ignore them because they're going to say find the sine of C, And if they tell you that, we know that the sine of C is equal to opposite divided by hypotenuse. We already know that. So the sine of C is opposite 12 divided by hypotenuse 12. That's the answer right here. That's it. So quite easy. So again, if they told you to find the cosine of C, so what if they didn't say that? What if they said find the cosine of C on this problem? Then you would go, oh, okay, cosine of C is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent, so here's C, and this is the opposite of C, and this is the 90-degree angle, so this is the hypotenuse, which means this side has to be the adjacent. So I need adjacent divided by hypotenuse, so it's 18 divided by 20, and there's your answer. Now notice I don't have to type in the cosine or nothing. They don't want it. They're just saying, what is the cosine of C? And you're saying it equals to this. Because remember, if we scroll down, do I have a little bit more room? If, for example, tangent of C is equal to adjacent, or is it opposite? Opposite, yeah. So it's opposite over adjacent. So this one right here is equal to opposite. So it already tells us that tangent of C is equal to this, right? Just like the other ones say that. It says, sine of C is equal to this. So this is the answer. So you don't really need to do a lot of work here. So I'll give you one more problem. What if the C is up here? I'm just going to say, what if it's there? Who cares? So there's an angle here. Maybe this is A and this is X. Who cares what these angles are, right? But these have numbers. Let's say this is 17, this is 8, and let's say this is 12. If they told me to find tangent of C, well, first off, look at this little 90 right here. Well, that means that this side is the hypotenuse right here, okay? This side. Because that's a 90, the opposite side of the 90 is hypotenuse. Here's the angle we're talking about. That means that this side is the opposite, because we're talking about this C. And this angle right here, the opposite of it is 12, so this is the opposite. That means that this one has to be the adjacent for this part, for this angle. And I know this would be a different story if we're talking about this angle. This would be the opposite, okay? Yes, so it does change. Where your opposite is changes depending on what angle you're talking about. But we're talking about this angle, so this is the opposite. This is the hypotenuse, this is adjacent. So if they told me to find the tangent of C, I just need to write the opposite. What's the opposite of C? 12. And divide it by the adjacent of C, which is right here, 8. And there's my answer. 12 divided by 8. And that's it. So that's all you have to do for numbers 1 through 6. Identify the angle, which one they're talking about, the C. Here it is. And say that this is the opposite, this is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. And then cosine is adjacent, this number here, divided by hypotenuse, because of the rule I told you at the beginning. So you'll definitely need to know this right here. So you might want to write that down here. If you don't write it down, just watch the video later, I guess. And that's about it. Oh, the next part, these ones are even easier. These are exactly like our problems yesterday, where it says find the value of these. So in other words, what is sine of 62 degrees? Just type it in the calculator. Sine of 62 degrees and type it in the calculator. What is the sine of 14 degrees? Just type in the calculator like we did yesterday. So these ones are pretty much like review from yesterday, and this one is slightly newer. So those are all your 12 problems. That's all you have to do.